Welcome to Unscripted with Russo. I'm your host, Ashley Russo, president and executive producer of The Peak TV. For our podcast, we decided to explore the people behind the narratives. I'll introduce decision makers and influencers who are winners in their field and find out the intimate story behind their rise to success. All right, everybody, I am so excited on this episode. I have one of my absolute favorite people in the world, Eve Tannery Russo.
Thank you.
She is our morning news anchor here in the Lehigh Valley, but more importantly, she's my sister-in-law.
Bonus.
So yay, Eve, welcome.
Hi,
well, cheers.
Cheers. Loving this wine
Thank you
situation.
for being here, a little
Thanks
rosé.
for having me.
We've shared a few glasses of that
Just,
before.
Makes me feel right at home. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming. For people who don't know, you have an interesting schedule. So I want to just start by...
That's a good word.
It's interesting, right?
Crazy.
So first of all, we're so grateful you're here because you've been up for quite a few hours. It is the morning. Yes, we're having wine. It's the morning. But tell us what your day is like. What's your typical work day like?
Okay, so my typical day is getting up at 2:30 in the morning, 2:35 if I stretch it.
If you hit snooze.
Right, I hit snooze. I have a little bit of a drive, so I get to work around 4. And then we read over all of our scripts, make sure we can, everything makes sense, and ask the producers if we have any questions, make sure we can pronounce everything. Then it's spackle time to do hair and makeup. No, we do not have anyone doing it for us. I wish. And then...
Luckily, you're good at it, so you look great every day.
Thank you. Not really, but thank you. And then we head out to the set around 5, do the show 5 to 9. And now, since I had my daughter, Maeve, I leave after the morning show. So the show's a marathon, but, it's a good mom gig for me
it gives you a nice balance to
Yeah.
get home and have the majority of the day
Yes.
with your family, with your
Yes.
daughters. So that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about how you got into this field. I mean, when did you know you really wanted to be a broadcaster, or was it an evolution?
My mom says I used to always walk around with a hairbrush talking nonstop, which kind of makes sense. And I always loved people, loved talking, and loved telling stories. Now, my parents, as you know, were both teachers. They're retired now. But so I was obsessed with playing school as well. But I guess there's sort of, the delivery presence of being a teacher that sort of is similar to being a news anchor. So I definitely had like the schoolroom in the basement and everything. And then I also took voice lessons. And at one point, I guess deep down, I probably had a news bug. And my voice teacher was like, you should think about going into news. And I remember that moment just kind of clicking to me and being like, I do like that every day is different. And, while my mom likes teaching, algebra 10, whatever, the highest level she taught, year after year, I just thought I kind of needed things to change every day, and every day be different, and the challenge of telling a story. So anyway, I think that's when it kind of became like, yeah, let's do this. And then I studied communication and journalism in school at Wake Forest. And then I always had a plan B because I never knew if I'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, and also not just being good, but it is a really hard field to make it in.
Oh, yeah.
And you hear stories. Of course, we have a very similar background and training.
Right.
But you hear stories all the time of people who, had to move somewhere or couldn't get a job and ended up doing something else. So it's definitely not like a guaranteed type field. So you had a backup plan. What was it?
Yeah, my backup was PR. So I interned on Capitol Hill. I was learning how to do all sorts of public relations related everything, marketing, advertising. So I had 2 resumes. One was a TV resume and I thought, hopefully somebody
will hire you.
Yeah. And then I sent my resume tape, which was a VHS at the time, grandma, all over. Literally all over Hawaii. I interviewed in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I was everywhere.
Yeah.
Thankfully, my first job was in Delaware. So
you didn't have to go that far.
So it was drivable. And then, thankfully they were, brave enough to put me on camera, and then, tried to work my way to the anchor desk.
So did you find, or have you found in your career, that having some public relations knowledge and background has been helpful, because you are the one booking a lot of your guests and figuring out what stories would be applicable to tell? So does that come into play at all?
Yeah, I think sometimes I feel like I'm a media consultant, and some people pitch better than others. Some need a little hand holding. So it kind of helps me look at it from their perspective and here's what they might have that they could offer me, or here's what I need. And, sometimes people are more used to print and pitching to print, and I have to guide them a little bit more. Okay, TV, we need a little more action, and this would make it a little more sexy for the camera. So yeah, I think they kind of cross, and it definitely helps having a little background.
You mentioned your family, and you got your parents, Gail and Chuck, who are teachers. I believe English and math, only because I've had the luxury of being able to, tap them for information for my own kids.
They're always available 24/7.
Tell me a little bit more about your family, your childhood. Where'd you grow up? Do you have siblings? That kind of thing.
Yes, okay. This will be very informative for you. You just sit back and drink. So I grew up in Bucks County. I went to Penn Ridge, which is the public school where we grew up. I have one sister named Brooke. She's 3 years younger. And yeah, my parents were both teachers. They were very much, they had great jobs and were there all the time. So family was the focus, which I'm so thankful for, and hope to, make that the focus of my life now, being a mom. And so we always had dinner as a family. My parents were at our everything, every concert, every sports event. It was, we were always together, all 4 of us. And then from there, I went, like I said, I went to Wake Forest, and then went to Delaware for my first job, and I've kind of lived all over. I lived in Conshohocken for a little, lived in Bethlehem for a little, and then met my husband, and now we live in New Jersey.
You mentioned music, and music being a big part of your life in your childhood. Tell me a little bit more about that, and also what were other activities you were involved in?
Well, I'd like to say I was involved in sports, but I basically played tennis for the outfits, which everyone who knows me knows.
Well, listen, this is an admirable reason to choose an activity, It was a good outfit.
I mean, come on, they were great. I had a cute coach. My friend and I decided one summer we would learn, and we just went all for it. I think we were in the bottom slot of the JV team, but it's
a good experience.
It taught us about team sports and gave us something new to try. And music, yes, was always a part of my life. I started taking piano when I was, first grade. I even taught piano for a little bit, and then took voice lessons. I was in the vocal school at Wake Forest, and that was always kind of my outlet. Like, I would go to the practice rooms that were basically like refrigerators. I mean, they just sealed shut so no one could hear you at Wake Forest, and that was my go-to when I needed a minute. And it still is, although now I have a piano in my house, but it's hard to find time to actually play it.
I would tell a funny story about piano, because our joint in-laws, right, we both married a Russo. I married older brother Joe, and
good taste.
Eve is married a younger brother Nolan. And they have a beautiful grand piano and have had it for many, many years.
Yeah.
And prior to Eve coming into the family, it's a self-playing piano, so you could play things on it, and it would play beautiful music. And one day, Eve is around early on, and she just sits down and starts playing. And she really can play. No. I mean, it was not like Mary Had a Little Lamb. She is playing full chords, beautiful music. And it was like the record skipped and the whole room stopped, because we were so excited to have this
very nice
amazing person, but also very musical. So you really can play, and you really can. I mean, I think you put a lot of study into it. I don't want to downplay it. I mean, it's...
No, thank you. Now, I did study for a lot of years. And I'm thankful that my parents, it was always fun for me. We had the most darling teacher who we still talk to, Mrs. Mann. We love her. And it was always fun for me. I didn't always practice what I was supposed to practice.
But you practiced.
Yes. And I'm thankful that now what I can't do is sit down and just play. Like, I don't have the memory. I wish I did. I don't. But I am thankful that I can read music. So I pretty much can play anything. Sometimes it takes the practice.
Yeah. Now, when you say we, was that you and Brooke?
Oh, Brooke, yes.
Because I know Brooke is very athletic, and she was like the sports sister.
She loved Mrs. Mann, the teacher, but she didn't love music like I did, and I didn't love sports like she did. So I guess that's
kind of a nice compliment, though.
Yeah,
now, when you were playing school, what were your roles?
We were like co-teachers.
Okay.
But we had bulletin boards. I mean, this was no joke. This was serious. Like, we would go down on a Saturday, and, we didn't have a finished basement. So, like, we had a heater down there, like a little kerosene heater. So we would play until our fingers were, like, pruny in the basement.
That's so great.
And I would be like, oh, I'm so busy today, I have to grade tests. But in order to grade tests, first you have to, like, fill them out, like you're Bobby Jones. And get them wrong so then you can correct them. So I mean, this was like, I hope my little girl, I mean, this is like hours on ends.
I know. My sister and I did a lot of that as well, except for I'm pretty confident I was always the teacher and all of my little sisters were the students. And someone was always in trouble. And it's a good, I hope, I like pretend play. I think it's important.
I think so too.
All right, well, you talked about my beautiful niece, Maeve.
Yes, thank you.
She's so amazing.
She's so great.
It's a big transition to be a mom.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you do, if you're home, if you work, whatever your role is. Tell me about motherhood and that transition and sort of maybe something that you thought before and feel differently about now.
Well, luckily I had you to prepare me. I'm not just saying that. Like, you have kind of held my hand along the way the whole time.
You're a natural.
Pre-Maeve, when I was pregnant, now. So I'm very thankful to learn from you. I think I always wanted to be a mom. I knew I wanted to be a wife, and I'm so glad I am, but I always dreamed about having a child. And for my wedding, actually, my dad gave me a little doll and said, you know, my wish for you is to have a daughter.
I can't with Chuck.
I know.
I can't. We cry
I can
about
barely
Chuck a lot.
He's so story.
He's such a wonderful father.
Yeah,
and person.
He's the best
husband.
Yes,
yeah.
He's the deal. And so I knew that I was deep down kind of maybe thought I would have a daughter, and it's just exceeded my every expectation. I mean, she's just, I can't even talk about it.
I know,
but she is just like our whole world. And you love your husband in like a way you like never even knew possible. And I love him a lot. So this is like
but you can't really explain it to people until it happens to you, right?
Yeah,
like you
it's
try,
like I just wish it for everyone and just
Yeah.
feel so thankful because she's just so much fun. I mean, we just stare at her all night. We don't do anything. I don't even know what we did before. Like, I'm like, why was I so busy? Because now I just literally want to sit and watch her. And now that she's one, she's just getting, as you know, like a fun little personality, slight bit of sass, but it's just so fun to watch and see things start to click. You know, my husband said, look, when I was pregnant, like, it's going to be so cool to just relive life through your children, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
you know?
it gives you like a whole new perspective.
Yeah,
and possibilities that you didn't really know when you were the one going through it, but to watch your child go through it is you know, good and bad. But it's
like growing up again.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. What is some advice that you have as a working mom? And you do have a kind of a cool schedule. It's crazy. I mean, we all sit around saying we don't know how you keep the schedule you keep, because you don't go to bed until like 8:30, maybe 9 at night, sometimes later, and sleep for 5 hours and get up and go to work. So what's some advice that you would have for moms out there?
I think my best advice, and I'm still new at it, so I shouldn't be giving any advice really, but I think my best advice is to not be so hard on yourself, and what is easy for one mom might not be easy for you, and you know, what works for them might not work for you, and just kind of figure it out. And I always say, some days I feel like I dominated, and some days I'm a train wreck in terms of just balancing everything.
Yeah.
I feel so thankful.
I think most moms feel that way, though.
Yeah.
I really do.
I don't think it's ever going to go away, right?
Not really. I mean, it's different, but I do feel like we're hard on ourselves and we're hard on each other.
Yeah.
So I like that advice of saying, you know, just kind of appreciate and love other moms. And, you know,
I mean,
everyone's
so
going
true.
through something.
Right. And I think when I had Maeve, and you know, you're just figuring it out in those initial weeks, my best friend in California, one of them, who's been my best friend forever, would just call me and just, you're doing great. Keep it, everything's fine. She's growing. She is happy. You're doing great. And so that's what I've been trying to do for my other friends and family, because you're right. Like, the support is just so important, you know.
For people who don't know you personally, tell me a little bit about how you would describe yourself in your personal life. Like, what matters to you? What do you spend your free time doing? What are some positives? What are some negatives? Tell us more about yourself.
Okay.
Self-analysis here. Now we're doing
okay. Oh wow, this could get deep. How much time do we have? Well, I think I love my family, and that's my number one. So anything else.
And you married into a family that is really about family.
Yeah, that's key.
So, key.
Otherwise,
have the same priorities. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and now, you know, now that we have our own family, really, it just seems like everything else kind of, not that we don't have other priorities and loves and interests, but the family is my first thing. In terms of, some negative qualities, maybe I overplan, overthink sometimes, which can be good and bad. But sometimes I'm like, I think I have to plan a little more now with the baby because, duh. And because I only have certain windows to do certain things. So like for the holidays, for example, I have lots of lists, and so it might drive my husband a little crazy sometimes.
Did you see my list on my story the other day?
Spreadsheet. That was very good.
Now I'm going to tell you, this will be my next sisterly advice to you. I
Okay.
spent many years with various lists and chicken scratch and whatever. And only last year, and this is a long time, did I go on and make an actual spreadsheet.
I know.
And what's nice is you can sort of see and remember what you got certain people, and when the list changes and different people come off or come on.
See, I got to get better at the bookkeeping.
It's a little, it was tough the first time. It's very easy this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Or
So I got to
easier.
get more spreadsheets. Another thing I think I do is I sometimes try to bite off more than I can chew. So, I feel like, oh, my sister-in-law just had a baby. I want to go and visit her weekly. And it's just hard to find windows to do, like my afternoons just being a mom and taking a nap and doing stuff to keep my house afloat gets busy. So just sometime, and then the other thing is you want to make time for yourself too, so you can be a better mom and a better wife. So you do want to work out and you do want to take a minute every now and then. So I guess just finding that balance is I sometimes struggle with.
Yeah.
But,
well, I think that is, fairly universal.
Yeah.
And you mentioned working out or taking time for yourself. What do you do to make sure that Eve is taken care of? Like, what do you do to make sure? I know we worry about everybody else, especially once you have kids, but what's your routine? Is there something you do regularly, or is there something you try to sneak in once in a while?
Yeah, I mean, I work out. I work out with a trainer a couple times a week, so that's scheduled.
Keeps you accountable. You got to show up.
Keeps me accountable. Yeah. It's even if I don't feel like going, I'm always glad I did, and it just makes me feel stronger and better. And then I try to work out on my own days that I don't do that. And, even if my daughter's with a babysitter, I just sneak down to the basement. And even if it's 30 minutes, it's just something. And when I had her, I realized, like, even just running a quick errand and feeling accomplished and taking a moment to just have a coffee is huge. So I try to take a little time each day, sometimes to nap, but not often, to myself, or to do something that will help my family.
I think that's really good advice. I think that sometimes we feel like it has to be this giant activity, but sometimes that really small thing, coffee with a friend, or like you mentioned, an errand. It's amazing how
the grocery store is so great.
How much more do you love to roll through the grocery store when you're alone?
Well,
it's like bizarre after you start
taking I went on a Saturday
babies,
morning the other week, and I felt like I was like skipping through the aisles. I'm like, what happened to you? But
I was just talking with someone the other day about how much I love a huge pharmacy, like a Rite Aid or a CVS.
We used to be so cool.
I
now,
can stroll through those aisles
like a nice CVS.
Yeah,
right?
like, oh, look at this on sale. Look at this little gadget
but
I
you're
see
right,
on TV.
because then you have a second to just, like, nobody needs you for a moment. And you can enjoy all those end-of-the-aisle displays and sales and what have you.
Tell me a little bit about being a news anchor at WFMZ. We've been lucky enough to get to see you behind the scenes and be in front of the camera. You've got a really cool crew over there, and you've been there kind of a while now. And tell us a little bit about, like, the job itself. What are some things people don't see that's going on behind the camera?
Well, we do have a really good crew, which I'm so thankful for. Honestly, I think it's like the best part of the job, because we do have a fun time despite the fact we're all tired and we get up in the middle of the night, and some people get up late the night before. What's fun for me, besides the people, is that I do the guest segments. Hasiel does them as well, but I do them regularly. And that's fun for me because I still feel like I get to use a little bit of my reporter brain and be creative, and every day is different. So I love kind of researching that and getting that ready. And I just find it's fun. For me, it's, some people don't have any interest in being an anchor. Some people just, as you know, want to just be reporters, and that's cool. They like to be out on the scene. I always found it interesting to be challenged to tell a story from the waist up. No one even sees my, I have this, and I have to make it cool and exciting and give it energy. So that part is fun for me. And yeah, it's just, the show usually goes pretty quickly, and it changes with time too. So, as the world changes and people are on social media and doing more, we try to infuse different elements. So the show I was doing when I first started anchoring is not the show we do today.
Yeah, to watch that evolution and kind of be a part of it.
Yeah.
And do you feel like you have a role in that or a voice in that? I mean, are they kind of open to what you think should be going on?
Yeah, they are. It's kind of like a team approach, and it's probably, to be honest, will keep changing. I hope it does, because it keeps it interesting for us. So we try to throw out ideas whenever we have ideas. Some are easier to execute than others, and happen a little faster than others. But I'd like to think that everybody has a voice.
When you were a reporter first starting out, what was that moment like when you got that first job and they said, go out and report on X? I mean, do you remember the first story you reported on?
I remember one of the first stories. I was in Delaware, and a lot of the stories were, just feature fun. We didn't have a ton of crime. We had a little bit. So this one particular day, I had done a story, I think, on the overpopulation of deer. So it wasn't anything too crazy. I mean, a problem, I guess. But so I kind of kicked up my feet and thought, I got this. And then the scanners started going crazy, and there was a hostage situation at the prison. And I was like, a couple of weeks in. And so, I mean, it was a horrible story, but it was, I was excited to cover it in some sort of twisted journalist way. So I remember calling my parents and saying, I'm off to the prison. There's a hostage
Oh my gosh,
situation.
Chuck must have been.
Not a good idea.
Yeah.
He did not love that.
Yeah.
And I was the first one to break into, it was an afternoon soap opera. So like the people watching Days of Our Lives hated me. But I broke in, and I remember that moment of, you better not mess this up, girl, because this is a big one.
You knew in that moment that this was sort of a career-defining opportunity.
It's the biggest story to this day I've ever covered.
I mean, it sounds a lot like what you would see happen, say, in a movie.
Yeah.
But it really is how it goes down.
And if anyone's interested in making it a movie, I'd be happy to relive it. No, but it was a horrible story, but it uncovered all these problems within the prison system, and we were there. It was 8 hours that we were there, and it became my life for 2-3 months that I was expected to dig into this story and turn a story every day. It resulted in a lot of tears on my behalf and pressure, but it probably taught me more than anything in my career.
I was just going to say, when you go through something like that, and you really have no choice but to keep pushing forward.
Oh yeah, and you're like this little girl right out of college.
What do you think now with hindsight, in perspective, what do you think you learned? Like, what were the broad strokes that you learned that you kind of took with you or became a part of who you are as a journalist today?
I think just to never stop asking questions, to always dig a little deeper, and there is always a story to be told. It was the kind of thing that I'm like, I'm done, I got all the stories, and then you meet with the correction officers outside after hours, after work, and they say, the metal detector that was supposed to be working wasn't. And you're like, really? Okay. So this is a big one for tomorrow. And, I'm proud of what we were able to uncover, and hopefully the changes that resulted from that, because we just kept digging. And even if it was sweat and tears, we learned that, persistence will result in hopefully change.
It's amazing. It really is incredible how one moment or one story or one pivotal thing can kind of change who you are and what you chase. Did that solidify for you that you were in the right field?
Not at the moment. It was tough work at the time, but now I think it did teach me, and every story after, even if they're horrible to cover, you hope in some way you can bring about some kind of good, or it means something to somebody, or you're helping somebody, and that is why I do my job, and that's what I love about it, even on the days that might have resulted in crying.
Yeah.
And I hope it teaches
but don't you feel like you are emotionally invested in the stories you're telling? And that's what people, I guess it's important, you want people to know, is that you're not just reading a teleprompter or saying the words.
Right.
You're really, we in this field feel a sense of responsibility to the people and the stories we're telling.
Yeah, and a lot of times, we're telling stories that can keep them safe, or information they need to know. And for sure, I think if you don't feel that way, then you probably are in the wrong.
Then you're in the wrong field. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and I hope it teaches my daughter now, that I hope she's proud of me and knows that, she can do anything. Even if it means mommy's a little tired. I hope she learns.
She sees that you as a role model for her.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, I think that's a guarantee.
Well,
I think that's absolutely true. What does the future look like? What are you looking forward to? I know you are awesome at enjoying the moment. I have to say, you are a planner, and you do. I always feel like you put the extra cherry on top. Like, I kind of feel like I just do like the minimum to get it done.
Not true.
And you always put the
all
extra,
the
extra
gift.
It's true, a little extra gift wrap, a little. You think of like all the details that are wonderful. But at the same time, we're not. We're in trouble with the gift wrap. Our mother-in-law and our sister-in-law are professionals.
I actually was going to text you last night, but don't expect a good bow game.
No, nothing. I think I'm gonna rock the gift bags, and that'll be my thing.
I like that.
I'm gonna go with that. Why compete?
Yeah,
I don't belong in the arena.
But
you are awesome at enjoying the moment.
Yeah.
And I don't know, do you work at that? Is it something you try to be good at, or do you feel like that's something that just has come to you because you're enjoying where you're at?
Thank you for saying that, first of all. I think when I was younger, I used to overthink a little too much and have to really work at enjoying the moment. But now I feel like it's a no-brainer because I truly do enjoy the moment. And so as far as like the future is concerned, your first part of your question, I can't tell you because I just want to, for right now, I am so thankful and so happy, and what I'm doing with work and personal is working, even though I'm tired. We're surviving, and it's a good fit for right this second.
Yeah.
So I think we'll just keep enjoying the moment and reminding myself to do so. I think we all need to take a little reminder to hold on a second.
Yeah, so much that we're constantly thinking forward. Tell me a little bit about social media, because that plays a little bit of a different role in the career that you're in. You were an early adopter, and you do have a huge following. What role do you feel like social media plays for you, and where are you on social media?
I think the best part about it is the connection to our audience, and I like that someone can chat with me and I can kind of chat with the viewers throughout the show. I mean, the viewers have become a part of our show because of social media, so that's my favorite part. And I like that I can, we kind of have like a little community, and we, folks share stuff with me, I share stuff with them, personal work, kind of behind the scenes. So I kind of look at it as a little extra. I do think I have gotten to a point where I don't feel like it's an obligation to do it. I don't want to saturate people with Eve are us all day. I think you can overdo it. So I feel like I'm at a place where, some days if I feel like I have 3 things that are kind of funny or cool to post, I will. And then I might sit quiet for 2 days. But I'm thankful at my station we don't really have a requirement. Some of my friends who are reporters and have a requirement, you have to post a certain time.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know about that. Okay.
Yeah, and their posts, they're like, oh, I got to take a picture of our lunch.
Yeah.
Because I have to schedule it to post
We struggle
on
with that a little bit. I mean, I definitely think it's tough because the science of it is changing, the algorithm.
Yeah.
So you sort of have to be active, but then everybody's like, can we just take a break?
Right.
And, it's tough. How do you decide what you share from your personal life with your audience and your professional sort of persona?
I definitely have locked it down a lot more since having Maeve. I do have, some outlets that are just family. I don't have professional every account. And I do feel that the viewers were so supportive and there for me in the whole pregnancy journey, and so I do like to share a little bit with them, but I also, as a mom, you don't want to blitz your kid all over the internet.
We really don't know the ramifications of that yet,
Right.
right? Like it's so new that we don't have a
Right. And she's so young that I still feel it, it's not like she's in school or anything.
Well, it's very
so.
smart because, as you know, I'm not really allowed to take pictures or tag my children.
Right. Well, now that they're teenagers.
Their aunt probably is. But.
I don't know. I better ask them now. So I guess I'm a little more guarded, but I do think it's fun. Like, I enjoy looking at people and be like, oh, Ashley was in New York last night. Let me see what she did. I mean, there's an element of that's what it's for, right? Like people want to see that other side. They just don't want to see me doing my makeup every day or sitting on the news set.
Right.
So I try to keep it a mix without overdoing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. Well, for people who don't know, tell us how you met your husband, because I'm proud to say I played a little role in this.
Oh, do you want to tell it?
No, you tell it. You tell it.
Okay.
I'll chime in though.
Okay, I'm sure you will. So Ashley and I were friends first.
Right.
Yes, you were
Through clothing.
My first love. We met at a clothing sale.
Thanks. Shout out. Shout out
to Jennifer. And I had dated a few people by accident and was kind of, ready to meet someone. And you had told me about your brother-in-law, my now husband, and set us up at a Super Bowl party.
Yeah.
And so
we basically honestly threw a big party.
Thank you for that.
For the sole reason.
What do I owe you for that party? That was a big party.
Of introducing you and Nolan, right?
Yeah.
So Joe and I just felt like, we love this girl. This is so perfect. We love our brother.
Well, I actually remember we used to have dinner, you, me, and Joey. I was like your third wheel.
Yeah.
Thank you for that also. Do I owe you for that too? Probably.
I think we're even. You're good.
Okay. I got to take you guys to dinner. And so I met Nolan at the party. And I, of course, bought a whole new outfit, made a very domestic appetizer, spinach in a football-shaped spread bowl.
It was very good.
Should I tell the ham story?
No, go ahead. Sure.
And he finally came over to meet me, and Ashley had a beautiful solid wood bar that was flipped up to walk behind. And I was talking to Joey or whoever, and Nolan came over, accidentally hit the bar, fell on my hand starts throbbing. I think I'm going to have to go to the emergency room. Thankfully,
but in the moment, there were a lot of doctors there.
Yeah, and I thought this material is amazing.
Yes,
so
you were so calm. I think it was a fairly significant injury.
It was hurting. My hand swelled up. Couldn't put on.
But I feel like that could have been the moment because
he literally left his mark. That
was it.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So
and then we didn't really start dating until for a year after that. He wasn't quite in the space. And it just, it's the whole thing of timing's everything. Maybe we both needed to grow a little bit. And but then at another party at your house,
also at my house,
we hit it off. And actually, I owe the chamber a lot. Besides you, the chamber I also owe, because they had the snowball, and I needed a date who I didn't think would mind wearing black tie. So I invited him, arranged to make sure you guys were there.
Oh my gosh.
So
we'll make sure that Tony and Frank and the chamber, Danielle, hear about this. Hear about that. They're part of the story.
It's been a real community project.
For people who don't know Nolan, tell me about him in a nutshell. What does he mean to you, and what was it about him that you fell in love with, and also that you feel is such a good fit?
I think, that's such a good question. I think I honestly just love everything about him, and I always have, and I admire him. He is super hardworking. He's super passionate, and I think he just honestly balances me so well. The things, when I'm having a down day, he picks me up, and vice versa, and just the things that I'm not, he is, and it's I don't want to say it's easy, because no relationship is easy, but it's always been fun, and nothing's ever really been an issue. We've never really even had a fight that's even worth a fight. I mean, a disagreement's always resolved, and something that he told me so early on, this is getting deep, is this okay?
Yeah.
Was that we were just going to be so open with each other, and I never had a relationship like that, and I think we've never held anything back, and it's been an open book. If I tell, even yesterday, I said, babe, I know I'm moody today, so I'm apologizing in advance, and just try to be fragile with me.
Just sort of owned it and told him.
And he's like, okay, cool. And he gets it. And You know, he's just the best. And now, like I said, seeing him as a dad is just
such an amazing
and with a daughter,
dad.
it's like I don't even care if she likes him more because which I don't think. I think
It'll be different. It'll be different,
right? But I'd like to think we're equal, but she definitely is obsessed with him, and I understand.
She's
why.
pretty into him. Yeah.
Well,
I have to say, I've known Nolan and his sister Brett since they were 12. So. It is, as you know, I'm not a big crier, and I have been crying since my brother and sister-in-law got in. It's terrible those last 4 years with the marriages and the babies.
Sorry.
I just cry at everything now. But, you know, it's really, he's just such an amazing dad and a great husband, but really just see them and see him with a family. It's like it's where he's meant to be.
I mean, I knew he'd be good, but he's just so good.
I mean, beyond, whole nother level. What do you two like to do together? Because you two are awesome at carving out time with each other. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit, what do you two do together and how do you carve that time out?
We just really have fun. We have, like, even the other weekend, not to keep talking about the grocery store, but he came along with me and we just have so many laughs and he's just like my best sidekick. Like, he really is my best friend. I mean, but, you know, in a different way. And, you know, we do realize, like, as much as we love our daughter and are obsessed with her, as any parent is, I'm sure, you know, like last weekend we went to New York for a night and we just saw the tree and just were like dumb tourists in the city all weekend and just had so much fun. And I think that's important to just take a moment for each other. I mean, we talked about Maeve a ton, of course, but it was just nice to just have a pause and just focus on us and not have to race home to relieve a babysitter.
And sometimes it can just be something simple too, like taking a run or
every
coffee.
Friday night, usually we go to dinner. We have like a permanent date night. And even if it's just to have burgers and hang out for even an hour is just awesome.
All right, well, Eve, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being so open and candid. Before you go, I just want to ask you some random kind of rapid fire questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Favorite place you've ever been on vacation?
Hawaii.
Okay. Place you have not been on vacation but want to go?
Greece.
Okay.
I'll come with you.
You want to come on my 20th anniversary trip?
Can I please? You haven't done enough for my life.
You're welcome. We'd love that.
Yeah.
All right, if you could bring 3 people to dinner, who would those 3 people be?
Oh, gosh.
And you can pick more than 3, 2, 5, you know, but.
My husband, you and Joey. That sounds fun.
That sounds perfect. All right, well, we have to probably include Brett and Jason.
Yeah, I guess so. We would.
Biggest life lesson that you've ever learned and who taught it to you?
Oh, Ashley, how is this supposed to be rapid fire?
I know, but it's good not to have too much thought about it.
I think my parents, just, you know, being kind to other people and just being a good person and loving your family. I mean, I think all of that just shaping us, that foundation of family and kindness and just overall love.
Well, you exemplify that, so they did a good job.
That was like a long answer.
I know, that was perfect.
Okay.
If you were not a broadcaster, what would you be?
A 3rd grade teacher.
A 3rd grade? Why 3rd grade?
Mrs. Brubaker. We just had fun in 3rd grade. I always thought it was a good middle of elementary school, and I liked 3rd grade.
That, you know, 3rd grade is the year that you stop learning how to read and you read to learn. Did you know that?
No.
Very pivotal year in education.
If I ever become a 3rd grade teacher, hopefully I'll remember
You'll know that.
Yeah.
Okay. If you had only one meal left to eat, what would your meal be?
Pizza.
Wow, you really didn't hesitate on that one.
No. I also want to go to Italy. I forgot that in that
Italy's in there.
rapid fire.
Okay, I know there's so many. That's a hard one because the world is amazing.
Yeah,
so
I just need more vacation.
all right.
Barry.
If you were, if you could pick one clothing style look that's best for you, what would it be?
I keep saying I always wear my black uniform, anything black. I just like it chic.
Okay.
Not a lot of going on.
Okay.
Does that answer that?
Yes, it does. Okay.
I'm tired.
What is your favorite band?
Oh, I honestly.
Or form of music? Type of music?
I'm such a theater nerd, but Broadway, I think. I love rocking out to Broadway songs. But I like anything. That's what I like mixing it up.
Okay. If you had one dream for Maeve, what would it be?
Oh, man. Just that all her dreams come true, I think. That she just, whatever she wants in life, she gets. And is just happy, healthy. That's a lot of dreams for her, but
I know.
I dream them all.
I love it. Well, I think that's perfect, Eve.
Thanks.
Eve Tannery Russo.
Oh, thank you for the full
It's been so great
name.
having you here. We really,
Thank
it's
you
wonderful.
for having
Thank
me.
you for
I love
taking the
this.
time.
Love
And
this whole setup.
thank you. Well, welcome, and we appreciate you being on Unscripted. And
Thank you.
cheers.
Cheers. Who needs a script anyway?
No, exactly.
Forget it.
Forget it.
Okay. Thanks, Ash.